Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Check out our podcast. Also, subscribe to that thing as well below in the description.
All right, Middlecoff, listen to this. This is what Kyle Shanahan said after the game. I don't know about the injuries. I don't know exactly why it happened as far as the feeling that was on our sidelines. That's as many knee injuries and ankle stuff and people getting caught on the turf as I've ever been a part of. From what I saw, the other team did too. I know our players talked about it the entire game, just how sticky the turf was. It was something our guys were concerned about right away, and the results definitely made that a lot stronger. Unfortunately, this is the place we got to go back to work next week. Fred Warner talked about it a lot after the game. I saw some of his quotes where he said he's never been on a field that felt so sticky, so spongy, and that it felt that way right away. We've talked for a while about how beneficial it was to get the Jets and the Giants back to back. On one hand, no doubt. On the other hand, you wonder if they weren't playing the Jets this week, would Nick Bosa be out? Would Jimmy Garoppolo be hurt? Would Solomon Thomas be out? Would Raheem Mostert be hurt? Would Tevin Coleman be hurt? I mean, and the Jets on their side, they got plenty of injuries too. So part of me does wonder if they really feel like the playing surface is not up to snuff. Remember, Harbaugh once pulled the 49ers off the field. We've seen preseason game get canceled before. Should the Niners consider making a stink about this? I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, the preseason games really jump out to me. Remember the Hall of Fame game a couple years ago? They canceled. Famous one, Brian Billick playing the Eagles at their old stadium. They refused to play, I think, in like 2000 or 2001. Remember
Herm
that?
and Andy refused to play in Philly once too.
Yeah,
the Mexico game. Remember the Raiders and Packers played on like a 80-yard field. What was it?
In Canada or whatever.
Yeah, not Mexico, Canada.
Yeah, well, and then the Canadian game got canceled, right? The Mexican game, because they had to put in L.A. the Chiefs and the Rams.
That's right.
Remember the famous game? I think you have to. I think under no circumstances can you go back into the Lions' den of Zach Banner on the Monday night game, the Pittsburgh Steelers starting right tackle, USC. I mean, the guy had become a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Had torn his ACL. Then today, the carnage was just outrageous. Now, I don't know exactly how this worked. It would be a problem for just logistically, but it's not like, I think if you were ever going to pull something like this off, wouldn't it be in a year where there are no fans? Who even cares? Like,
right.
couldn't they put it at a neutral spot? It's not like the Giants, who just lost their star player to a torn ACL, wants to play on the shit field. Googling it, they had changed the surface this offseason. They had the same surface since 2013. So a big thing this, summer was implementing this new service or this new surface with turf. I guess it had some heating elements under the field, which I think matter in New Jersey, right? October, November, December, when it gets really cold, probably, so it doesn't get rock hard. But I don't know, Guy. I can't imagine that the players feel comfortable going back. I saw Diana Rossini.
Yeah.
She used to go by NBC Diana, was saying DMing or texting with a lot of the Niners players. They were just on edge about it. Obviously, Kyle, like you said, talked about it. Just watching it, it felt weird because it didn't look. Guy, the Niners lost two guys to ACLs in 30 seconds of game time.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. I've never seen that before in my life. I've never seen the cart come out basically 2 times in 3 plays with guys with season enders. That's nuts.
No, I know. And the other part of this is, and we got a DM on Instagram from Max. Max, credit to Max. Max DM'd us on Sunday after the game and said, how could you possibly send Kittle onto this turf next week given his knee injury? No chance.
Yeah.
And remember, the Niners, this was a real thing leading up to the game where it was like
they already red flagged the turf.
I don't know. It didn't feel like they had red flagged this turf. They were just red flagging turf in general, right?
But maybe I don't look at turf as like some ankle or knee killer. Do you?
Well, yeah, I do think. I saw Kawakami give Jed York credit for refusing to go to turf when the Niners were having trouble at Levi Stadium with grass, just because
But
grass.
you and me are grass truthers, not because of
We do
like
love
injuries, more just I like watching grass. But I've never I got the Seattle game in the back. They have fucking turf, right?
But clearly, the Niners were concerned with just like deep with some guys playing on the turf. It felt to me like just turf in general. They just didn't want people like Debo. They didn't want him playing on the turf, right?
Yeah.
They put him on IR before the opener, but
I don't think it's out of the question for them to make a huge stink and say they refuse.
Especially
to play
because what if they say we can't put George Kittle is healthy enough to play, but he's not healthy enough to play on this particular field. You play us at Rutgers, that's turf. He'll play at Rutgers.
But guy, it's not just a Niner issue then. It's a league issue because you have a team
100%.
that shares a stadium that plays a week 16 NFL games. Like, to me, it's not the Niners are going to make us think about this just because of the unique nature of they're literally playing at the same place again. But I do think the league antennas, right? If you're all the teams in the AFC and NFC East, fucking their red flags are off. I mean, every team in the league that has to go there for just the uncommon opponent games,
well,
their red flags are up. This is a major problem for the NFL, and I think the Niners can be the flag bearers of the issue, right?
For sure.
Now, I don't know. What do you do? Do you change the turf? I don't know.
Well,
I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if
turf specialist.
I think can you change the turf in a week? I'm sure you can, but I think the last thing they want is to walk onto the field for warm-ups next Sunday and the Niners go, this feels the same, and they go, this time we're not. Kyle goes, this time we're not playing. You can't have that happen, because if you walk out there and it feels
the league cannot have that
exactly. Because if the 49ers walk out there next Sunday and the field feels the same to them, how can they play? Given what just happened, it's
guy. Why would the field feel any different?
Well, I just mean, yeah, if they say, oh, we're going to change out the rubber, or we're going to water it, or we had the coils wrong, or I don't know. I'm just saying, if they walk out and it feels the same, they have every right to say, we are not playing on this field. The players, Kyle.
Which cannot happen if you're the NFL. You cannot have that happen.
You cannot
when
allow
you
that
know
to happen.
leading up.
Yep.
But I also think the Giants now are in this weird situation. I think it's fair to say this is a disaster for the league because it's a shared stadium with two teams. I don't know, in the biggest market in the league. Now, it's two of the worst teams in the league, but that's not the point. The amount for the next, what are we in, week 2? So it's going to be week 3. From week 3 to week 17, there's a game there every week, right? There's just a game there there's 16 games played in this thing, and they're only 2 deep into it.
You know, it probably would help the Niners' case if Saquon hadn't gotten hurt today. Because the Giants would be going, we can't have Saquon on that field.
Yeah, but that's their stadium.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, you need the Giants to be you need Giants players and Jets players to be as angry about it as the 49ers.
I think this is definitely going to be a huge talking point, I would imagine, the next couple of days in New York, because it's a shared stadium. The two teams play there. Saquon hurting his ACL, other player. Now, the Jets don't really have marquee players, but I'm telling you, don't you think, would you feel good about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs going there if you're New England?
Sam Darnold's your quarterback.
Carson Wentz. Think about the guys that have to go in there. Dak Prescott, Zeke. Think about the Cowboys team. I think it's a major issue. The Niners are at the forefront of it because, like I said, it's the most unique situation. It turns out the worst turf we've ever seen, and they have to play at it again, and they're not going to want to do that. But every team in line is going to have the same issue. And I think you could throw it's not like, in fairness to Adam Gase or Joe Judge or even the GMs, they don't have anything to do with the turf, right?
No. And I'm sure even the teams, when they put it in, they state-of-the-art turf. I'm sure they did all the right stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I bet they paid a shitload for it.
They didn't get it online. Yeah, they didn't get it on eBay.
All we know is it's a major issue. We lost. I mean, there's been 3. I mean, we'll see, I guess, Solomon Thomas' injury. Bosa, Zach Banner, 2 ACLs in 2 weeks. You had a quarterback at a high ankle sprain on it. You just had a lot of players they're just some weird. Every time a guy fell, it felt like they were getting up.
I got really uncomfortable watching the game. It felt like stuff was going to happen. It's one thing somebody lowers their helmet, bam, right, knocks himself out, knocks out a guy.
I didn't think about the turf as much as I thought more about just the randomness, unluckiness of the game. And then when I heard the quotes, because the one thing is when you're watching a game live, those guys are talking about it on the field, but you don't really get to come into the conversation until you read their quotes after the game, right?
Yeah.
Because the announcers aren't really talking God, the Jets and the Giants really fucked up this situation.
No, but it was on my mind just because the 49ers, there had been so much talk about the Niners for 2 weeks not wanting Debo to be on turf. So just turf was on my mind. I've always kind of been uneasy with it. And then to see when Jimmy gets his leg stuck behind him, but then when Solomon Thomas went down, it just started feeling really weird to me after Bosa just happened. And then, so.
To me, I'd even argue some of the innocuous, the Niners running backs that we didn't see go down, right? They just come off the field, and then it just turns out Coleman has a knee, Mozart has an MCL. You're like, what? Clearly that is not normal, right? To me, the level of which the Niners had knee injuries today, you can't play on that field under no circumstances, I think. Under no circumstances you refuse to go back, which is just a major headache for the NFL and the Jets and the Giants, right? It's a disaster. It's a disaster, guy, given that 14 more games are played at this venue.
Yeah.
14. It's
Niners,
a problem.
John, the Niners can't keep losing players, and they cannot put George Kittle on that field next week. No. Cannot do it.
No, I don't think they will.